What's going on, guys? Happy New Year. First video of 2023. This is gonna be a much better video than what I started off, last year with, but, we're not gonna, that's a memory now. So, yeah, this video is gonna be a top 5 favorite amusement park days of 2022. Now, this is a wild year for me in terms of that stuff, and actually, I think I'm excited to finally do this because I have more parks to, more park visits than just Great Adventure for once. So, yeah, it was a crazy year and I got a lot of options. I narrowed down just 5. This was really hard, but I did, and I'm probably going to be doing this for every year where I go on a somewhat big trip. I'm probably going to be doing this. So this year, if things go as planned, I'll be going on this summer. I'll be hitting both Virginia Parks, Carowinds, and Dollywood. So that's going to be a pretty gnarly trip also. That'll probably be in July. So, yeah, that's another topic for another video, and, those will probably be included in the, top 5 favorite coasters 2023. With the earrings. So, yeah, let's just dive into this now. Number 5. Number 5 was my first Great Adventure trip of the year. Yeah, usually the first one actually making a list like this is pretty rare, but here we are, April 15th at Great Adventure. And with it being, this was Good Friday, and obviously a lot of schools are off, so I thought it was going to be a shit show in terms of crowds. And it was. It was pretty packed, but single rider lines made a world of difference, and obviously getting there at least a half an hour before opening did help dramatically. But the big thing about this day was finally getting on Toro after literally 10 months not riding again. I thought it was going to run slow at opening. No, that thing was hauling 10 minutes after opening. It was absolutely crazy. And on top of that, Ka was probably running the best it ever has. Like, smoothness-wise, that was probably the best I've seen it run. Imagine night rides are even more crazy. We got 2 rides actually where we almost rolled back, but yeah, definitely I'd say one of the, at the time I left saying this is the best they ever had at any park since before COVID. It's definitely better than all my 2021 visits, and so I probably still say it was the second best Great Adventure trip of the year. Only one other one actually made the list. So, and then the rest are from my summer trip. So, yeah, that was a very solid day, and that's all I gotta say. So, number 4. Number 4, we got probably the best Great Adventure trip of the year, and definitely the most memorable. This would be May 13th. This was, I would say, for regular hours and power hours, but the park was so dead, it essentially felt like power hours all day. So, Ka was down for the day, which was a really, really big downside, but foggy night rides absolutely on Daredevil Nitro and Toro especially absolutely made up for it. Like, this is probably the fastest I've ever seen Toro run. This is the first night rides I had actually gotten on it since riding the Ball 2019. And riding it 20 times in a row like it's no one's business in that fog was absolutely nuts. Couldn't see a thing. Can imagine night rides on Ka would have been even more insane. But yeah, riding that thing 20 times in a row was definitely a memory. And even that, just like the energy during the event, it low-key almost felt like an Ace event to me. Like, I hadn't seen that much energy from a crowd at a park. I mean, the park wasn't crowded at all, but I haven't seen that much energy from a crowd of people at a park since riding the Bull 2019. So it was great to get that kind of vibe again. And yeah, I attended Power Switch 21. It was great. So I did it again, and even without Ka, still managed to that was probably the best trip of the year there, I would say. Daredevil Nitro running great. Batman was even running great. And yeah, we really didn't, other than Houdini had some level line because it was pouring rain. Other than that, we really didn't have to wait in a single line all day. Like, most of the year has been dead there, but even for 2022 standards, that day was like absurdly empty. That being said, though, it was cloudy, kind of misty, kind of foggy all day, so the weather was, obviously, the weather wasn't very, pleasing for the GP, but yeah. But it made for a really cool experience with the night rides, nonetheless, and definitely one I'm going to remember for a long time. Number 3. Number 3, we got July 14th at Kings Island. Now, this was my first ever visit, and the park was surprisingly pretty empty for a Thursday in July when I was later. I don't know, Kings Island crowd's very good, but having there be essentially walk-ons on almost everything with that nice of weather felt kind of weird. But for a first time, it was definitely a reward. So because every other day on the trip had been kind of packed before that, so it was a nice change. Orion ran a little slow at opening, but the night ride I got was much better. And even Diamondback, ran kind of slower in the day, but that also, it wasn't quite a night ride, it was more like a close to sunset ride, I think. Yeah, something like that. But what really made the day memorable was the Beast Night Ride. And there was a fireworks show before that I meant to get on camera, but my phone was running out of battery. But I did, so I couldn't get any pictures or footage out, which was a real shame because it was really cool. First time I've ever seen like a full blown like fireworks show at a park, and I forgot to mention the vlog, which is really sad, but it was a really cool experience. Like it wasn't even just a normal fireworks show. It was like fireworks of like Peanuts characters in LA. It was really sick. If I go to another serial fair park that's doing that in the summer, I definitely want to get footage of it. But that and the Beast Night Ride just made this one of the most memorable days I've ever had a park. Despite this same day gave me my worst night sleeping probably ever, but that had nothing to do with anything at the park. That had to do with my phone really deciding to almost break on me, and our hotel room really being as hot as it was outside. It was pretty disgusting. But yeah, another topic for another video. But yeah, first day at Kings Island, definitely going to be one to remember. Number 2. Now, number 2 and number 1, they honestly could really go either way. I had a really, really hard time with this, but I decided number 2 was going to be July 12th at Cedar Point. This was my first time. Obviously, the first time at Cedar Point for any enthusiast, anyone in general, really, is going to be one to remember. Now, the park was packed. It was really humid out, so and there was a lot of stuff down when we got there. I think when we got there, the Millie, Maverick, Steel Vengeance, and Top Thrill announced, well, Top Thrill we know was going to be that, didn't make too big of an impact. With the big other 3, we're all down at the same time, so we were like, oh, hope this is a sign of things to come. Millie didn't end up opening with an hour and a half wait, and we waited out because Steel Vengeance wasn't open. But yeah, almost every ride we did pretty much blew me away. From Millie to Steel Vengeance, that mostly. Like, even the B&Ms mostly, like, Gatekeeper and Raptor blew my expectations away. Valraven and Rougarou not so much. But even Magnum, which I was planning to absolutely hate, especially because I'm, like, Venice Paper. Loved it. And I was actually really disappointed. I only got one ride on it. But better than nothing. And even Gemini, I got around on both sides. I really enjoyed that too. That was another one that, stations were like middle of the road to low, and there you go. It surprised me. Maverick did not open, however, which was a real shame, and we couldn't get a Steel Vengeance night ride because it kept breaking. It was very temperamental actually during both of my visits, but I managed to get the snack feed rides in the span of 2 days, which is that's how easy it could have been. 0. That's satisfying in my book. But we did get a crazy Millennium Force night ride, pelted with bugs though, but that's Cedar Point's kind of known for that. But the night ride on Millie, how it maintained speed really good, and I actually got some airtime on the night ride. It was definitely one of the most memorable night rides. I wouldn't really say it lives up to the Beast night ride, but it was pretty damn good still. And Cedar Point, I think, probably has the best atmosphere of any park that I've been to. Like with Lake Erie and stuff, it's more beautiful when you're actually seeing it in person than just like videos and photos don't do it justice. You have to be there yourself to actually see it. It's a one of a kind. So yeah, day 1 at Cedar Point, definitely gonna be one I'm gonna remember for years. Now, number 1. Number 1 is July 13th at Cedar Point, believe it or not. Now, when you look at the ride counts both these days, you're probably thinking, is he nuts or something for having this, ahead of it? But here was why. I'm not saying the first day wasn't memorable at all, but this day, even with the storm shutting down the rides for 4 hours, which obviously kind of sucked, that honestly made the day more memorable. Because, I had never You know, I never imagined experiencing a big thunderstorm at a park 8 hours away from me. And, well, I got to do it. And, but that also meant that we got a trimless ride on steel bendings right after. So that made, you know, all that kind of aggravation for those 4 hours actually worth it. And that ended up being the craziest ride I've ever gotten in a coaster. And oh my god, I was so speechless after that. I literally had to like sit down for like a good 20 minutes because my brain was just on another planet after that. But yeah, this was kind of it was like a quality over quantity thing, and you know, obviously, you know, ride count wise, day one went a lot better, but this is just, you know, one I'm going to, you know, with the crazy weather and then the absolutely absurdly insane ride on Steel Vengeance. That's just not some of the rides on weren't insane, but that one was just freaking unreal. Like that's that was probably the best of my three rides. They're just saying a lot. They were all close and all, but like if that trimless ride didn't happen, this would be nowhere near the top. But that alone, like, kind of like even if it was just that one trimless ride, this would probably be in the top three, no question about it. But yeah, absolutely an insane day. I know I made it sound like I was disappointed in the vlog because, you know, the thunderstorm and everything was kind of frustrating, but this day overall, it was a unique experience. Not sometimes not in the, you know, in certain portions not in the best way, but it was, you know, a unique experience nonetheless, and definitely, you know, one I'm gonna remember for a long time, for sure. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, typically, you know, we'll still do honorable mentions at the beginning. I forgot to, so we'll do honorable mentions now. Not going into much detail for these. Honorable mentions, we got August 15th at Great Adventure, August 29th at Great Adventure, July 11th at Kennywood, and July 15th at Kings Island. All very, very solid days, just didn't quite make the list. So, and those aren't in particular order, by the way. So, yeah, that's pretty much. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and expect me to do one of these yearly, at least every year, where I go on a somewhat big trip. Obviously, this year is going to be Kingsman, which is going with Dollywood, and, you know, future years, you know, we'll just, like, you know, see what happens as time goes on. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So.